Oh, Larry, let me tell you this. What a robbery. I won every round, and there was no knockdown at all. I was just taking a risk because, something got in my eye, then I had to take a risk, and, I won that fight easy. I won that fight easy, every round.
Yeah, yeah, shut up, you little midget. And you forgot to big up Base Boxing Basement. Like and subscribe and donate if you can spare some cash money to a public funded channel because the haters keep me down. Anyway, yeah, Gervonta Davis. Well, that was a real surprise. That was a real surprise. I will give you this, right? Obviously, Americans are desperate to find a new superstar because they don't dominate boxing like before. And I told you a million times. Why? Well, the rest of the world has caught up. Training techniques, supplements, PEDs, and also all the Eastern Bloc fighters now can turn pro. I've been through this a million times. But what I'm saying is, unlike most, they keep on pushing bums like Shakur Stevenson, Devin Ganey, who are boring like Floyd Mayweather. They take the Floyd Mayweather template, you know what I'm saying? The Floyd Mayweather cookie cutter. They try and act all ghetto, they're too scared to get involved in a firefight. To be honest, Floyd Mayweather, when he was young, as a super feather and that kind of thing, he was an exciting fighter, but, he became a posse-hole. But, and they all try and act all ghetto and they're ignorant and they can't spell. Apparently Mayweather can barely read. And, they like to play that ghetto thing. Yeah, I'd probably be dead or in jail, if it wasn't for boxing. All my friends are dead or in jail. Yeah, whatever, man. You must have had some bad luck, blood. Especially Floyd Mayweather. He went from the streets. I mean, it doesn't matter anyway. It's nothing to be proud of. It's just how you grow up. But, all the good Japanese fighters didn't grow up from the streets, and they're still super fighters, So, Mayweather, he wasn't rich. He didn't come from a rich family, but his father had a gym. His uncle, Roger Mayweather, was working in that gym. He made some decent money. He fought Chavez twice, etc. He got some good paydays. He was a multimillionaire. Well, I mean, he certainly was paid that at some point. I don't know when he pissed it out the wall, but he grew up around boxing, and all these guys want to cry and that. Yeah, none of them grew up in Soweto. None of them grew up in the favelas of Rio, poor as hell, or in Siberia, freezing your ass off with no opportunities, no food, no money. So I'm sick of these American fighters crying. Oh, I had it so hard. Most of my friends are dead or in jail. Like Barry Jones's friends. Anyway, but I had to, before we go into the fight, going into the fight, I thought Lamont Roach had no chance. And I seen guys back him, Roach, going, no, I think he's going to cause the upset. I was like, no way, man. I mean, look at his record, I'm not saying he's a bad fighter. But he was 25 wins with only 10 KOs, 1 loss, and 2 draws. He lost to Jamel Herring, who's no superstar, on decision, right? Sorry, he had 1 draw at the time going in there. Now he's got 2 draws. He drew to Orlando Cruz, who's decent, but not spectacular. And he's not a puncher. I thought this has got to be a walkover from Gervonta. And I watched Lamont on the pads and a bit of footage, and I couldn't see it. But that's the thing about boxing, and that's why we love the sport, isn't it, Matthew? As Adam Smith would say. You get these crazy results. And Lamont Roach, I think he was 10-1 or 9-1. And yet, he gave a super display of boxing. I mean, obviously I didn't stay up for it. I watched it, right? And Gervonta, they want him to be the new American star. But unlike the other, I don't want to call them bums, but unlike the other feather-fisted cowards like Devin Ganey, Floyd Mayweather, Shakur Stevenson, he can punch, He tries to end fights. His fights are exciting. So I'm not a hater necessarily of Abdul Wahid. You remember when he allegedly converted and then he went around wearing crucifixes and so on. But, he's an idiot. He's a low IQ idiot, but he's good at boxing. And like I said, he goes for the KO. You know, prior to this fight, he had 30 wins and 28 KOs. That's a super record. You know, that's almost 94% KO ratio. That's incredible for a guy who's a lightweight. And Lamont Roach couldn't punch. But then, in the fight, things took a turn. They took a turn. You know, from the beginning, Lamont was in it. I thought he lost the early rounds, a few of the early rounds. But people are like, yeah, he's doing pretty well. He's doing pretty well, right? Some people, obviously, they're biased because of the commentary and because of the reputation of Davis, and they thought he was doing better than he was. And then people start saying, oh, no, I remember watching it. I watched the highlights, then I watched the full fight, and it was close. You know, Davis wasn't throwing that much. Roach his work rate was good. Yeah. And then we had this knee incident, a knockdown incident. Davis, yeah, he suddenly turns. He suddenly turns and drops to a knee. Now that's a knockdown. 100% a knockdown. Everybody who knows boxing, who's been watching boxing, knows that's a knockdown. He took a shot too, just before he took the knee. Right? It wasn't like, he had a knee problem. Suddenly his knee hurt. He's like, I took a knee and I wasn't hit. No, he was hit. He was punched in the face. And then he took the knee. Okay? So, I mean, it was a surprise to everyone. The referee didn't count it. Why? Because he's in the pocket of the promoters. And it's a disgraceful decision. And it had a big impact on the result. Yeah? I mean, I don't know. Abdul Wahid just didn't seem to be that sharp that night. Now, you can get an off night. Often. You know, it's very rare for everything to fall together in one fight. You know, fighters always judge themselves by when they were at their best, but that's not always the way it is. Did Abdul Wahid, did he skip out on training a bit? Did he think it was going to be easy? Was he hanging out at too many fruity parties? I mean, obviously, P. Diddy's in the nick, but he's a good friend of P. Diddy. You know, there's pictures of him like giving a toast over a shot to P. Diddy. Maybe he's getting to the party life, yeah? Maybe he's had his batty smashed, broken in. He's had his back doors broken in so many times by P. Diddy. He's lost his movement, you know? He's lost his confidence, you know? Because when you got a guy like P. Diddy smashing you in the back door, probably shouting and abusing you, it does something to your confidence, I'm sure. I mean, I wouldn't know. But I imagine it definitely affects you psychologically. He got up and carried on. He blamed, I had something in my eye. Well, that's all very well. But you still took a knee after a punch. That's a knockdown. Well, he had something in his eye. That's a weak explanation. It's like Deontay Wilder came up with about 100 explanations for losing to Tyson Fury. All kinds of ridiculous explanations. Yeah. And then his corner wiped it off in the middle of the fight. They wiped his face. Now, that is illegal. I'm not saying he should have been DQ'd. I don't like DQs. We had another disqualification scenario when Paddy Donovan was dominating a fight. And it looked like neither him nor his opponent heard the bell. Because if you notice, then neither of them reacted when the bell went. And Donovan chinned Lewis Crocker and he got disqualified. At the time, I'm like, well, it's fair enough. It was a good second after the bell. But the referee should have been there. He should have jumped in. Especially as Crocker was so hurt. So he knows the finish is happening. There's a lot of noise in that crowd. But this wasn't the case in the Wahid fight, you know. And yet, the ref didn't count on knockdown. He did not... what's it called? He did not talk to the corner and say, you're not allowed to do that. He could have taken a point off. He could have disqualified him. I don't agree with that. But he should have had a word. And they ended up going the distance. And it happens so often these days. The scorecards are so crooked. What happened to a unanimous decision? There was a majority decision, a split decision, a majority draw, a split draw. Why? possibly betting things, because you could bet on the exact outcome of a fight now by majority decision, by draw, by split decision, by unanimous. You can bet on the exact results. Mark Butcher in Boxing News did a good article about this, right? So you can get like 22 to 1 a majority draw or something like that. Probably more. I mean, even just a normal draw is about 18 to 1 for this fight. You know, let alone predicting a majority draw. And the knockdown that wasn't counted made a big difference, because that means Roach would have won and rightfully been the new champion in a huge upset. But they had to protect Gervonta Davis, Abdul Wahid, because he is a promoter's favorite. You know, the alleged superstar. You know, I looked at, so if you look at, there's a number of sites that record what the fans thought. You know what I'm saying? What the fans thought, and they're usually far more reliable and honest. And also, you get a better view of the fight if you watch it on TV, because of the camera angles in modern times, the high definition. You get a much better view of the fight and what's happening than a guy sitting ringside who's staring through the ropes, who's low down, right? The action might be happening on the other side of the ring, so he can't actually see the punches landed. He just sees someone back, and so on and so forth. Yeah? And so we had 114 to 114, 114 to 114, and the other judge had it to Gervonta Davis. I mean, like, if you look at any of the fans, the number of sites that score it, and some people have it as wide as 117, 111. Some most had it around 116, 112. So Lamont Roach clearly won the fight, but obviously he was protected, Gervonta, because he is the promoter's fighter and he's the money maker. You're not going to make the same money out of Lamont Roach Jr. as you're about to Abdul Wahid Gervonta, right? And, you know, listen, man, in the streets, you know, people will batter you, stab you if you owed them 100 quid. So what, you don't think a few judges are going to be corrupt when there's hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars at stake? You know, you get stabbed for a packet of biscuits in prison. You know what I'm saying? And people and the normies and NPCs go, oh, no, of course it's not corrupt. Of course boxing's not corrupt. Of course I believe, they never failed the drug test, so obviously they're not doing drugs and blah, blah, blah. People like that just shouldn't be allowed to reproduce because their IQ is too low. And they got no awareness. These people are idiots. They're like Otto Wallin, that bum. I'm never going to stay off that bum's neck. Yeah, pushing the poison onto kids and stuff. But it's just another boxing controversy. I'm sure we didn't get as many controversies and dodginess back in the 80s and 90s. I'm sure we didn't. I mean, I have to be reminded, but intuitively, I can't remember so many controversial decisions, right? Yeah, people it seemed to be a little bit more honest back in the day. A little bit more honest, and there's obviously less hugging and clinching, and the refs weren't biased or as biased, unless you went to Italy. That used to be known, didn't he? It was a joke, Italy, and then Germany as well. But this is the same round the world. They replicated it. They realized that with all the money at stake, you got to buy people. You got to buy people, and there can be a little more explanation. How can you take a punch, turn around, turn your back, take a knee, and not be considered a knockdown, and then let the guy have his face wiped off mid-round by his corner? The corners are not allowed to be involved mid-fight. Yeah, it's up to the referee's discretion, but potentially that could have been a disqualification. Yeah, but Lamont ain't making nothing like the money that Gervonta will make the promoters in sales and pay-per-views. Also, you know, I'll never be a superstar. I wouldn't recognize him if he was walking down the street and he spit in my face. Whereas a guy like Gervonta is easily recognizable with his huge head, his 5'4" frame and his ridiculous tattoos and his fruitiness. He'd be mincing down the street in his purse, wearing his purse and wearing some kind of bizarre rainbow outfit. So yeah, it's just more corrupt boxing. But you see it more and more in big fights. They go the distance. Yeah, there's a controversial decision one way or another, and then they call for, we need a rematch. We need a rematch. We need a rematch. So everyone gets paid again. Yeah, especially if you're like in Vegas. Everyone gets paid again. The promoters, the fighters. I mean, this fight, by the way, was in New York, right? But it doesn't matter. It follows the same pattern. But especially in Vegas, yeah, everyone gets paid again. Like the casinos get more customers, yeah. The hotels get more packages. They get more people buying rooms. The brasses get more customers. And so the restaurants get more business. The promoters make more money. The ticket sales are bigger. Okay, so that's what I mean. There's hundreds of millions of pounds resting on a boxing result. So it's no surprise that it's crooked. You know, even in amateur boxing, the number of shows I've been to, and the home fighter gets a decision over a 3-rounder that he clearly lost. And that's when there's no money. There's no money in amateur boxing. Well, unless you're at the top where you get salaried and so on. But it's not a prize fight. It's not a prize fight, is it? Right? And that's corrupt. You know, even kids. I mean, I've even seen teenagers get ripped off decisions at away shows, which is terrible. You know, these poor kids. They boxed their ass off. They've trained their ass off and they get robbed. You know, it's kind of enough to put you off boxing. But like I said, boxing is the crack hole, the street crack hole of sports, and it will continue to be so. So we get another robbery, a majority decision draw in favor. Well, it's not in favor of Gervonta, but one of the judges went for him, Eric Marlinsky, the crooked bugger, and they didn't call the knockdown, and they didn't admonish the corner of Gervonta. So, we need a rematch. Yeah. I mean, in this case, I think they should, but that shouldn't be the case. What should be the case is that, Lamont Roach should be the new champion, and Abdul Wahid should have a loss on his record, not a draw, right? Will Wahid Davis, will he avoid the rematch? He's already said, he deserves no rematch. He don't deserve no rematch. Oh, what are you talking about, you bellend? You're just terrified. Yeah, the little midget, the ugly little midget with a huge head and stupid tattoos everywhere, the fruity little midget that's had his back doors broken down, you know? Let's imagine you had a stable, yeah? And you had some great, enormous bull in it, yeah? And that huge bull was a stud. So, it's got everything. It's got huge nuts. And it smells a female. And it goes crashing through the stable door so it can get hold of the female. That's what happened to Gervonta Davis. And P. Diddy was the bull. He crashed through the door in his house to smash in the back door of Gervonta Davis aggressively, violently, and horribly. And now, Gervonta is just not the same fighter. Peace in the Middle East.